Hey, my name is David White, and in this video, I'm going to teach you three different AI prompts, three different things that you can do with your email marketing to make yourself a bunch more money. Now, I don't know why, but for some reason, people just like buying things when they get emailed about them. So if you send an email to a bunch of people and you say, go buy this product, they're way more likely to go and check out your offer and order it than if they see you talk about it on a social media post. If they find a blog post, for example, from you doing SEO about your product, or even if you show them an ad about your product and drive them straight to the sales page, for some reason, email just works the best. So I got a few ideas here and some prompts that go with them that I want to share with you. And I want you to really try these out because in my experience, and I've been doing email a lot. I believe in 2022, my emails written by me were probably opened over 10 million times in people's inboxes. Some of this stuff might seem counterintuitive. You may not want to do it. I encourage you to try this at least as a test. So we're going to go through how to write better email campaigns. We're going to talk about the idea of a greased shoot. And then finally, I'm going to teach you about email segmentation. And I even have some fancy visual aids to go with it. So let me pull up visual aid number one. Let's talk about how to write email sequences. Now, the old way of doing email sequences was kind of boring. I mean, it was fine, but fine and great are very different. So this works fine. So if you're running a campaign, let's say about a webinar or a flash sale or anything like that, there are four emails you can send. There's the generic, like, hey, I'm doing a webinar tomorrow morning at this time. Here's what I'll be teaching. Click here to go and register. Or cool, I've got a flash sale on this thing. It's 20% off. Click here to go and check it out. Whatever, generic, right? Then you can write emails about things that people have to gain from checking out your campaign or your product or whatever it is, whatever kind of launch it is that you're doing. Then you can write emails about what people have to lose or the things that they're missing out on by not participating in your sale or whatever content it is that you're emailing them about. So this might be like, hey, if you're sick of spending a bunch of money testing your Facebook ads and losing money, or if you're sick of having a email list that doesn't respond to you, or if you're tired of going to the gym and not getting results, come join me on this webinar. I'll help you out. Or check out this video or buy this product. It will help you get the result you're looking for. And then finally, there is the good old scarcity or urgency email, which is like, hey, this flash sale expires in 4 hours, or I've only got space on my calendar for 2 more clients this month. So if you're interested, reply back with whatever. Now, these are fine. Like, these are different sort of wrappers that you can put around the content of your webinar, your video, your campaign, your flash sale, your product, whatever it might be, but they're boring. And if you do this over and over and over again, your emails are going to sound boring. The good news is there are a lot more sort of wrappers or ways of presenting your information like these. So check this out. The truth about Facebook ads, or the truth about how much to spend on testing your Facebook ads, works a lot better than just that boring kind of, if you're sick and tired of spending money on Facebook ads and not getting any return or any return on ad spend, come join me on this webinar. Same thing with stuff like, what does X mean? So in the case of email marketing, which we're talking about in this video, if I send you an email that was kind of based around the idea of what is a greased shoot, I'm probably going to get your attention, probably going to teach you something interesting, and I'm probably much more likely to get you to want to click on my email because it is more interesting. All these things by design are more interesting than just, X ways to Y, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do it all the time, that gets boring. And then how to X, which people also do all the time. So screenshot this if you want, steal these for yourself, and let me show you practically in action how you can get AI to deploy these into your, to write emails for you, essentially. So what I've done here is I've put together a little prompt. And on the day that I did this, ChatGPT was actually having quite a bad day. It was really struggling. For some reason, it titled this prompt or this conversation, COVID vaccine availability in Peru, which this chat is definitely not about. But this is a good demonstration of how you can use all these different sort of ideas or bullet points, if you will, about what a piece of content can be about and your actual content itself to get ChatGPT to write out an email sequence for you. So here's what I've done. I've got a really simple prompt here that could be made a lot cooler. I'll tell you how in just a second. that says review a transcript for a webinar that I've got, or maybe this is like a video sales letter or something like that, whatever, and do the following things. Review this list of bullet points, which I've attached below here. These are all the ones that I just showed you. Take the content from the transcript and try to use these example bullet points to write out single sentence ideas of what I cover in this webinar. Try to write at least 20. The purpose of these bullet points is to use them to write compelling email copy to get my database to register for my event. Now, secondly, I'd like you to highlight the 6 most important topics I cover in this webinar. And then because I've been listening to him a lot lately and he's awesome and you should be listening to him as well, I just put in a transcript from a Alex Hormozi YouTube video about brutally honest advice to give to my younger self, which went for, I don't know, some period of time. So I'm using ChatGPT 4 here. It can absorb all this information. And ChatGPT did a pretty good job of getting this video, which I know is not a webinar, but who cares, getting this video and kind of going through it and saying, here's all the stuff that you talk about, and you're going to see me turn that into an interesting email in just a second. So ChatGPT says, here's all the stuff that you sort of talk about, the truth about hard work versus, the things that influence you as a child about success. If you think your 20s are for wasting your time, think again. 5 ways to maximize your earning potential. You need a perfect morning routine to be successful, right? Wrong. Why chasing fast money in your 20s works. What else have we got here? How to eliminate the ignorance debt in your life. That's another good one there. How to spot friends that hold back your growth. Nice. So this is ChatGPT giving me a bunch of ideas of stuff that we could write emails about. And then it's also given me sort of like, these are the 6 things that you talk about in this particular video. Again, this is a YouTube video, but it wouldn't matter. This could be the transcript of any kind of video for any kind of campaign that you do. Or you could even just paste the text and the copy from your sales page about your product and get ChatGPT to do this for you as well. So there we go. Now, the next prompt I've given it is, I would like you to write me a 450-word email to get my list to register for this webinar. You're going to write it about, and this is one of the bullet points that ChatGPT gave me, the misconception of morning routines and productivity. Take the ideas and content for this email from the transcript. Here's what I want the email to look like. We'll talk about this in just a second. And I also want you to learn my communication style and the types of language patterns I use from my transcript. I don't say fluffy things like elevate, in the fast-paced world of, unleash, transform, etc. So these are 2 really basic prompts, and this took me all of probably 50 seconds to write out. Now, I could make these prompts a lot better if all the way up here at the very start, I'd given ChatGPT a bit of an introduction into my business and said, hey, I'm a business coach. I help entrepreneurs with time management and being more productive and having more energy and all those sorts of things. These are my values and what have you. I didn't need to do it here. That's fine. And then I could have also made this a lot better if here, instead of saying, learn my language patterns and the style of communication that I have from my transcript, if I'd said, here are some emails that I've written in the past that got clicked on really well, learn my communication style from those, then ChatGPT wouldn't do this sort of like generic, in the fast-paced world of, elevate, unleash, transform, and so on and so forth. So it actually went ahead and wrote me a pretty damn good email, and it's assuming that the transcript that I just shared is for a webinar or a video, whatever, rather than a YouTube video. It went ahead and did a pretty damn good job of writing out an email for this fake webinar that I've just come up with, which is fantastic. And this is all about why morning routines are fluff and why they're not super useful. So that's great. I've got the transcript there. I've got those bullet points. Now I can go to ChatGPT if I so choose, and I can say, you know what? I want you to write me another 450-word email about the importance of learning and maximizing your growth in your 20s. ChatGPT will write that, and then I can say, cool, write me another 450-word email about ignorance debt. And all ChatGPT is just going to keep doing this over and over and over again. And it's coming up with more interesting ways of talking about my webinar. Now, the thing that I want you to know about email marketing is that this is a much more interesting way of doing it. And that is important because, how do I say this? If your inbox is anything like mine, it's a very boring place to be. Like, there's not a whole bunch of exciting stuff happening there. No one really likes going through their emails. No one really loves being marketed to in their emails. Like they don't want to go and like force themselves to learn stuff. We want to be interested, not taught when we go into our email inboxes, which is not to say that people do not want you to email about your stuff, but you cannot bore people into reading and clicking on your emails. You have to interest them into reading and clicking on your emails, which brings us to thing 2, or the second prompt, the second idea that I want to share with you in this video, which is this idea of a greased chute opening. Now, a greased chute opening is something that was invented by a very good, it's a term that was coined by a very good copywriter called Joe Sugarman. And he says, when your audience first like stumbles upon your copy, they open your email, they turn the page of the newspaper and your ad is in front of them, or they see your Facebook ad and they click show more and they like see this copy. They're kind of like a kid sitting at the top of a slide. And they've got to, like, if you just give them a little bit of a nudge and if they get a little bit of momentum, they're going to slide all the way through that thing. But the most important thing is that you break their kind of inertia at the top. So if you grease up the top of the slide, if you give it a greasy chute to the opening of the slide, they'll start going down there faster. So your introduction, the first sort of 10, 15 words of your email is so important. That is the chute, and it can either be greasy and kind of get people wanting to consume more of your email, or it can be boring and they can just go on to the next thing and just keep trying to delete and get rid of all the stuff in their inbox that they are not interested in as quickly as possible. So ChatGPT knows what a greased chute is, in case you're wondering. Let me share another prompt with you here. Please write me 10 approaches to the opening paragraph of this email that could give it a better greased chute. Refer back to the transcript and take ideas I talk about and use them in this email. And boom, first one got me. Did you know the billionaire you admire most likely didn't get rich from a 3-hour morning routine? Now, this is fluffy. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And again, this would have been avoided if I'd been able to share with ChatGPT, hey, I'm Alex Hormozi. Here are some of my best clicked on emails, because I doubt he'd write like this. But I like this. That is, like sentence 2. And then this is sentence 1. You got me. So now I can go into ChatGPT and say, cool, rewrite this email using approach 1 as the foundation, 450 words, use all the information and the instructions I've given you already. And away goes ChatGPT. Dear David, did you know that the billionaire you admire most likely didn't get rich from a 3-hour morning routine? Let me show you what makes the difference. And here's like a massive red flag AI written sentence in the hustle of daily life. This content is great. It's just not written like a human. It's written like a robot, but that's perfect. As I said here to ChatGPT, this email is perfect just the way it is. So that's the second idea for you. If you can go through the thing that you're emailing your list about when you're building a sequence, and you can think of like, what are all the different things that I say in this webinar or on this sales page about this product that might interest my audience? Can ChatGPT identify those for me if I ask it in the way that I just showed you? And then can I get it to write emails for me that are really well written and have a really catchy introduction? If you do that, your emails will be so much better. And this is especially important if you are using artificial intelligence, because it's an averaging machine. It's kind of the best way I would put it. So a second ago, you saw me tell ChatGPT, don't use fluffy things like elevate in the fast-paced world of unleash, transform. Now, if you don't sort of tell ChatGPT, here's what an email written by me looks like, here's the specific kind of piece of content, morning routines that I want you to write about when you're telling people that they should go and register for my webinar, it averages everything out. It'll kind of pull all your content in, or pull all your ideas, and just every email that it writes for you will sort of start to sound exactly the same. So that's why this is so important. So that's the second tip, is the idea of a greased chute. And then here's the third tip for you: intense email segmentation. So one of the things that you can do as you're building your email list is you can ask them questions like, what's your name? What's your email address? What's your phone number? Where do you live? how much money do you make, all those sorts of things. And of course, the more questions that you ask, the less likely someone is to opt in. Like if you ask them 40 questions, you're probably going to completely kill your landing page's conversion rate. But I think if you ask them a binary, like a radio button, A or B question, such as, how long have you been doing social media when people go to opt in? Less than 1 year, more than 1 year, you'll start to be able to segment your list out. And I don't think you'll hurt your conversions. At least I haven't seen that happen for me. So you'll get 3 pieces of information off of your audience: name, email, and then something that tells you about what kind of customer they are. So in the example that I just gave you, if they've been doing social media for less than a year, they're a newbie. If they've been doing it for more than a year, then they're an expert. You might, if you're a gym, if you might ask people, what's your main goal? Build muscle, lose weight. You're not going to hurt conversions by just having one of those 2 little buttons to check there. But if you gather that information about your audience, you can start sending them more targeted emails. And I've got an example of that to show you here. So let me pull up my next prompt and show you what I mean. So this is a prompt that I'm writing for myself, or that I kind of put together for myself. This is what I call a master prompt. And when I was saying a second ago that Alex Hormozi prompt would have worked a lot better if I'd given it information about my business, this is what I'm talking about. So whenever I talk to ChatGPT, this is how I start every single prompt. And this is what I call a vector. So this is me telling ChatGPT, you're an expert email copywriter. Cool. You know how to do these kinds of things. You know how to get my audience to look forward to seeing emails from me by making them well-written and insightful. Here's the meat. Let's say if I have my email list and I know some of them are brand new to email marketing or marketing in general, and some of them are kind of like more experienced marketers or entrepreneurs, I can write 2 emails with ChatGPT in about 3 seconds. And I can send one of them to the newer folks and I can send one to the more experienced folks. So here's what that looks like. I'm about to send an email to my list about 3 AI prompts that'll help them write better email campaigns. That's a touch below. I want you to update this email for me so it's relevant to new entrepreneurs / business owners who are just starting out. Change as little about the copy as you can. Only add in another 1 to 2 sentences when you're rewriting this email, and don't dog whistle these people by calling them new entrepreneurs or anything like that. And once you've been using ChatGPT for a while and you give it prompts like this several times, you'll start to notice, like if you say, write this email for new entrepreneurs, as soon as it can, it'll start saying new entrepreneurs and it'll say it all the way through the email. So I've given ChatGPT some email copy here that I just wrote a minute ago about this exact YouTube video you're watching right now. Classic David White shenanigans here. And I said to ChatGPT, write this for me as if it's going out to newer email folks. And it did. So just for your reference here, I asked it, what did you change? And it said, it added in a sentence where I was talking about one of my clients, I know a copywriter who I know, who has a list of 3,000 people and made $70,000 last month or something like that from his emails as kind of like proof. And then it also happened to add in an email here talking about one of my clients who's an e-commerce business owner, making a lot of money from his email list, even though it's quite small, which is great. Now, for your reference again, I've said to ChatGPT, if you had to make 2 more changes, preferably one of them earlier in the email, what would you do? And ChatGPT says, these questions can sound a bit daunting, even if you're just starting out or have been in the game for years. So this email actually started out by me saying, one of the most offensive questions you can ask a marketer is, how much money do you make? The second most offensive question you can ask them is, how big is your list? And ChatGPT saying, it would follow up this sentence by saying, that's a daunting question to answer if you're brand new because your list is probably pretty small. So that's great. I like that. And then the last thing that it said it was going to change about the email here was, don't hesitate to use these prompts, whether it's your first campaign or your 50th. So if I kind of templatize that process as saying to ChatGPT, rewrite this email so it's written for newer marketers or newer business owners, and I just save it somewhere, I can just constantly, every time I write an email, I can just copy the email, copy that little prompt, and then say to ChatGPT, write me a different version of this that's for newer marketers or business owners. And you can do something similar in your business as well if you segment your list. Now, all 3 of these things that I just showed you, these should take less than a minute. If you did all 3 of these, putting together like the structure for an email campaign by getting ChatGPT to say, here are all the interesting things that you talked about, and then looking at it and going like, yep, I like 1, 2, 4, 7, 9, and 12. I'm going to write my email sequence about those different things. And then you give them all a greasy shoot when ChatGPT writes them for you. And then you get 2 variations of each. For example, one for people who want to lose a bunch of weight, one for people who want to build a bunch of muscle, or something of the same kind of nature inside your business. I think you'll find your email works a lot better. Now, I'm going to wrap up by saying this. It's a crime to write boring emails. You only really get a couple of shots with your email list of sending them emails. And if your emails suck, if they're boring, if they sort of ramble, if you're asking them to do too much by giving them huge paragraphs of text, I don't like to say that you're training people, but you are training your audience to not read your emails. And when they see your name pop up in their inbox, they're going to think to themselves, you know what? Nah. And once you've lost their attention, that's it. They're gone forever. So it's very important that all of your emails are actually good. With that said, the second problem that I see marketers and business owners having is that they just do not follow up enough with their email subscribers. So if you feel uncomfortable sending someone, let's say when they opt in for your lead magnet and they start your funnel, or when they watch a webinar that you sent them, or after they register for a webinar that you've sent them, if you've never tried like sending them 2 or 3 emails in one day, I would really encourage you just test having more rambunctious follow-up. Now, you may see unsubscribes increase, but again, remember what I said. Most people's email inbox is incredibly boring. They've got a whole bunch more stuff happening in their life rather than just the things that you talk about to them, talk to them about when it comes to your business. And if you wait a day to email someone after they've given you their email address, they've probably already forgotten about you in 24 hours. So try doing more rambunctious email follow-up and see what happens. I have never, and I mean never, and I've been doing this for over 10 years, I've never seen a business owner send more emails and make less money. And if you're making money, that means that you're getting your product, which people should buy, you're getting it into their hands, which means that they can use it and they can get the good results that your product will deliver for them. So there are 3 prompts that you can use for your email marketing. Here's another video about marketing with artificial intelligence for you to check out. David White here. Thanks so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.